Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're looking at two reprints which is going to be in the brand new duelist pack, Duelists of Pyroxene, which is earth-based support. The first one is Zolga the Prophet. This is an earth attribute fairy type level 4 with 1700 attack and 1200 defense. If you control an earth fairy monster except Zolga the Prophet, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then look at up to 5 cards from the top of each player's deck. When a monster that was normal summoned by attributing this card declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict 2000 damage to your opponent. You can only use each effect of Zolga the Prophet once per turn. This is part of Ishizu's deck, and it's a modified version of her previous form. Instead, that one, it gained life points by 2000. This actually burns your opponent for 2000 points of damage. The first effect simply lets you special summon this card, and you have the opportunity to look at up to 5 cards from both players' decks. It gives you a good insight into what you and your opponent are going to draw into and what your opponent's going to be running. When a normal monster that was normal summoned by attributing declares an attack, it just has to, this card has to be banished to destroy that monster. Effectively, you're making the decision: do you want to destroy your monster to do that 2000 points of damage, or do you want to just carry on with using that monster? It would be ideal if your opponent actually tributed over this monster because that would be similar to how the anime worked, but most people don't really do that. Instead, they remove these type of cards through kaijus, and I don't see a scenario where this would be effective without you having to trigger off the effect yourself. And the second card is Polymerization, a normal spell card with the effect fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. This was the obvious choice that this was going to be reprinted, since it heavily supports the Amazoness archetype as well, and they've gone around. They were introduced in the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters by My Valentine, but they received fusion support through the years, a few fusion monsters, so it's very predictable that this was going to be introduced. Very commonly found cards. What do you think in terms of reprints you'd like to see remaining within this deck? I know since they're covering 3 types, they're looking at Leo's deck, his Morphtronics. They're looking at these 2 sisters who are the ones in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 that both use the Amazoness type cards. One bases on like a protection strategy, the other one is more on a focus on an offensive strategy. And of course, we also have Ishizu's support as well. What types of cards do you want reprinted? I'd love to hear those in the comments down below. And make sure to watch the video at the end screen. It will be also discussing other cards within this new duelist pack.